A whole lot of things happened this week in game news. We've got some really interesting Kickstarters, all the usual announcements and releases, and of course, a bit of controversy around pre-orders. This is the Blackman and Robin Game News Update. The music in today's episode of Game News Update was provided by Michaela Nachtigall. You can follow her on Twitter at mklachu. You can find her on YouTube at youtube.com/mklachu.
Hello, this is John Noble, and you're watching Arkham Insider.
To start with the Batman news, Batman Arkham Knight has different pre-order exclusives from different stores. Pre-ordering from GameStop, for instance, will net you the Red Hood story pack, whereas pre-ordering at Walmart gets you a prototype Batmobile for the game, while pre-ordering on Steam gets you a Batman Beyond skin. In short, if you're actually interested in owning the complete edition of the game, you're going to have to wait for the Game of the Year version, which is inevitably going to show up and contain all the DLC that's been split apart and distributed across retailers. Frankly, I think it's pretty dumb to pre-order this unless you really feel the urge to get one of the bonuses early. In particular, it seems that Best Buy got the short end of the stick when it comes to their exclusive. When you pre-order the game through Best Buy, you get what's called the Wayne Tech Booster Pack, which contains the Explosive Gel Takedown, Aerial Juggle Weapon Upgrade, basically upgrades to things and extra moves within the game, but these appear to be things that you can just unlock by playing the game. At least, that's what I hope. But chopping a game up like this is pretty stupid. I understand that for retailers, there are pretty narrow margins on games, which is why GameStop takes your games in for so cheap when you trade them in, only to sell them for much more. But frankly, this is a business model that, while it may be profitable, really shouldn't exist. It's not good for the consumer, and ultimately, it's not good for the game either. Would you rather get a game in chunks and pieces based on where you buy it? Or would you rather get the full experience no matter where you go? Imagine if this happened with movies. If, when The Dark Knight came to DVD, certain scenes were cut from the film only to be sold as bonuses at different retailers, there would be riots. While the division of pre-order bonuses does suck for Batman Arkham Knight, there has been a pretty cool new look at the game this week. On the 4th episode of Arkham Insider, some of the Batmobile gameplay was shown off, this time within the game's Riddler challenge. If driving along the walls as Batman appeals to you, well, good news. You'll be able to do just that in Batman Arkham Knight. The game is set to come out on PC, PS4, and Xbox One on June 23rd, 2015. If you're a fan of the FIFA series of video games, you might be pleased to hear that the next game in the series will include female footballers. As announced by EA Sports this week, for the first time in the franchise, you can play as various female football stars, including Alex Morgan, Stephanie Houghton, and others. In keeping with the spirit of realism, you won't be able to let your female players play on the same team or against teams of male players. This is coming hot on the heels of the FIFA corruption scandal this week. The game's not going to be entirely realistic because while your female players cannot play with or against the males, you're also not able to accept bribes within the game in order to decide on where the World Cup will be held. FIFA 16 is set to come out on September 25th, 2015.
Nintendo of America and Humble Bundle are teaming up to bring you the first ever bundle for home consoles and handhelds. Introducing the Humble Nindy Bundle, presented by Nintendo eShop.
Do you own a 3DS or Wii U and you've been looking for some great deals on some good games? Well, good news. The Humble Nindy Bundle has been launched. It's the first Humble Bundle to feature codes for console games, and it's the first time that Nintendo has done anything of the sort, which is a pleasant surprise. You can pay what you want for Guacamelee for the Wii U, Whoa Dave for the Nintendo 3DS, and Mighty Switch Force, which is also for the 3DS. If you beat the average price paid, you'll also get The Fall for the Wii U, Moon Chronicles for the 3DS, and Ollie Ollie for both the Wii U and 3DS. Finally, if you pay $10 or more, you'll get Stealth Inc. 2 for Wii U, and SteamWorld Dig for both Wii U and 3DS. Some of the money from this bundle goes to support the charity Code. In case you've not heard of Code, all you need to know is that they're a non-profit that looks to expand computer science participation into more schools, particularly among underrepresented groups such as women and children of color. Now, regarding the games that you'll be getting, I can comment on Ollie Ollie. As you may have guessed from the title, it's a really cool skateboarding game, in which your goal is to pull off tricks. Unlike most other skateboarding games, however, Ollie Ollie is 2D. If you're looking for a challenging skateboarding platformer, you definitely want to check it out. I also really enjoyed SteamWorld Dig. I played it on the 3DS when it came out, and absolutely adored it. It's a sort of Metroidvania platformer that incorporates digging a la Terraria, and upgrading yourself in a generally Metroidy fashion. I really like SteamWorld Dig's theme. It's kind of got a steampunk western thing going, because you're playing as a steampunk robot. It has lots of personality, and the gameplay is fantastic as well, so check it out. Now, at the time of producing this video, the average price paid was $9.21. So if you're looking for something more than what's in the pay what you want tier, you're best off paying the full $10. More games are set to come to the bundle next week. Also, I forgot to mention, unfortunately this bundle is region locked. If you own a 3DS or Wii U but don't live in the United States, well, that's a bit of bad news. Still, if you do live in the United States and you own some Nintendo consoles, this is well worth picking up. You may have heard about the release of Splatoon on the Wii U this week. Nintendo's multiplayer-focused third-person shooter isn't entirely about the shooting. Rather, in Splatoon, your goal is to paint the arena with the color of your team. In Splatoon, everybody's a squid, but everybody is also a kid.
You're a kid now, you're a squid now, you're a kid, you're a squid, you're a kid, you're a squid, you're a kid now!
From what I've been hearing about the game thus far, critics seem to enjoy it even though they have some reservations about its lack of maps. In spite of the little issues, however, most of what's been said about the game thus far is positive. The game, apparently, is a refreshing take on a genre that's been done to death, the shooter. If you've been looking for a fun action game that you can play with the kids, check out Splatoon. Also, not too long ago, Nintendo held a very interesting promotion called the Splatoon Mess Fest, in which people actually reenacted the game in real life. Take a look at the video.
The course at the Splatoon Mess Fest was designed to train participants in real life to get them ready for challenges when they play the game. First, contestants transform into squids and swim in purple or green ink. Then they fight their way through their opponent's ink, which is known to slow you down in the enemy ink ring. Next, they'll test their shooting skills in inkling target practice. At the end of the course, Team Purple and Team Green battle it out against each other in a turf war by covering the area with as much paint as possible. And finally, they'll battle it out in a turf war on Wii U.
I just really like what Nintendo's doing with their take on the first-person shooter.
The teamwork's great, I love it.
Here's something original and new, so I'm really excited about that.
Another game that hit the Wii U this week was Don't Starve Giant Edition. This version of Clay Entertainment's critically acclaimed survival game combines the content of both the original game and the Reign of the Giants expansion pack, the latter bringing in new characters, seasons, creatures, biomes, and more. If you've been looking for a more whimsical survival game, check it out. Are you a fan of minimalist puzzle games? You might want to take a look at Orbitalis. Released on Steam this week, Orbitalis is a very pretty minimalist game in which you launch satellites and must keep gravity in mind in order to solve the orbit-oriented puzzles. The game has gotten some very good reception from fans and the press. The original version of the game was created for the Ludum Dare 28. While I have yet to play it, I really love the premise. Also, the game is available at a launch discount of 25% off for both Mac and PC. Are you a fan of Vikings, fantasy, and strategy RPGs? I've got the trailer for you. A sneak peek of the Banner Saga 2 has just been unveiled. It's really just a sneak, but it is a very, very pretty sneak, and thus we've included it for your viewing pleasure. Over on Steam, the game Magnetic Cage Closed has just been released. Magnetic is a first-person puzzler in which you're stuck in a futuristic prison, sound familiar, and you come to possess an experimental device, sound really familiar? It's called the Magnet Gun, and you must use it to solve puzzles for what you hope to be a chance at your freedom. The game is available on PC and is set to come to the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One at a later date. If you've been looking for a cute mystery game, you might want to check out the playable demo that's just been released for Jenny LeClue. Available for Mac, Linux, and PC, you can get it for free at jennyleclue.com. Now, I've been following Jenny LeClue for a while. It was quite a success on Kickstarter, and I downloaded the demo. I just have to get around to playing it. Although, I could get you guys around to playing it. Give the demo a shot and leave a comment either on the @BlackmanandRobin Instagram, shoot us a tweet @BlackmanandRobin, or leave a comment beneath this video on YouTube. Tell us what you think about the Jenny LeClue demo, and you'll win a Steam key for To the Moon. In case you've not heard of To the Moon, all you need to know is that it is a fantastic point-and-click adventure game that everybody should play. Regarding Kickstarters, we have a few interesting ones this week. The first is for a game called Loud on Planet X. Now, the Loud on Planet X Kickstarter has less than a week to go. It's an indie rhythm game that combines tower defense with music from artists such as Tegan and Sarah, Metz, Lights, and others. It's being developed by the Canadian studio Pop Sandbox, and it looks pretty cool. I actually got to meet Alex Jansen, one of the devs, during IndieCade East 2015, while he was showing off another game called Pipe Trouble. You can check out our interview at blackmanandrobin.com. And don't forget to check out the Loud on Planet X Kickstarter. It looks really cool.
Tell me about the forest.
It's hard to put into words, really. It wasn't just the forest, but the darkness on the island itself.
Another Kickstarter that caught my eye was for an upcoming game called Through the Woods, a first-person psychological horror game about how far a mother would go to save her son. The game draws inspiration from the Silent Hill series, and is also heavily influenced by Norse mythology and Norwegian folktales. According to the developers, you're playing a mother's retelling of the events surrounding the disappearance of her son during some sort of interrogation. You're alone in the woods with a flashlight, and of course you can turn your flashlight off, but you may run into some dangers that way. You can keep your flashlight on, but of course you'll also have troubles. At the time of this video's production, the Kickstarter had reached over $16,000 of its $40,000 goal. If it sounds like your cup of tea, check out Through the Woods on Kickstarter. Yet another cool Kickstarter that caught my eye was for Remnant, a 4X space strategy game. According to the developer, it's set during a pre-warp era. You can't zap back and forth between star systems, so it's set within a single planetary system. Some promised aspects of the game sound really interesting, such as the battle system, for instance, which takes place in a completely open space. The developer says that there will be a full 6 degrees of freedom instead of tiles and grids. There's also the dynamic map. According to the developers, all planets, moons, and asteroids will move in orbit as the game progresses. In Remnant, your goal is to colonize planets, beat the enemy forces, and extract resources from interplanetary bodies. There's also plenty to do with colony management. Personally, I'm excited to see a Space 4X game on this scale. It looks to be a lot more ambitious than Civilization Beyond Earth, not bashing that game. I can't wait to see what becomes of the game when it comes out December 2015. The last Kickstarter to catch my eye this week was for Dimension Drive, Jack. This isn't the first time that this game has hit Kickstarter. However, the last time the game was kickstarted, somebody had made a very large pledge, and it seemed as though the game was going to succeed, but that person pulled the pledge at the last minute. Dimension Drive looks to be a pretty average shmup, but with a rather interesting twist. You see, in the game, you're hopping back and forth between a pair of battlefields. This isn't the first time I've seen that sort of thing done within a game. There was this one game called Fractured Soul on the 3DS. It's a platformer by Endgame Studios in which you hop back and forth between dimensions, which are on either screen of the 3DS. However, this is the first time that I've seen this sort of thing done for a shmup. Hopefully, nobody pulls their pledge this time around. Is paying for your MMOs totally dead? It would appear that way. WildStar is the latest in a string of multiplayer games going free to play. This sci-fi fantasy MMORPG was seeing some decent numbers, but it wasn't really enough to keep the game afloat. Thus, the decision was made to make the game free to play. Whether or not that model is going to work for WildStar remains to be seen. That said, if it's handled correctly, it has the potential to make the game more profitable, while also making it appeal to more players. Personally, I wasn't really planning on playing WildStar since I'm not that big of an MMORPG guy, but since it's free to play, I just might give it a shot.
And now, an even greater secret is about to be revealed. I'd say things are going to get wild. I do so love a good party.
Did last week's teaser for the new Need for Speed game get you excited? Well, you might want to curb your enthusiasm a little bit. According to tweets from the official Need for Speed account, the new Need for Speed game is going to be always online. Apparently, being connected will allow your friends to be part of your narrative experience. That's fancy talk for Electronic Arts wants to collect information on you and your friends while you're playing the game, and then shut it down and make you buy the new one once they don't feel like supporting it anymore. Crazy as that sounds, that's just what happens when a company decides that its always online game isn't worth the money anymore. So now you should decide, is this worth your money? Are you willing to drop $60 on a racing game that you probably won't be able to enjoy in a few years? If so, then hey, I can't tell you how to waste your money. As for me, I'm going to be calling this one a pass. Finally, if you have more money than you know what to do with, you might want to purchase the Star Wars Battle Pod. For a mere $35,000, you can have what Bandai Namco Entertainment is calling the home version of the Aerial Battle Arcade hit. It'll be available to order on June 18, 2015, in Europe, North America, and Japan. Now, if you have $100,000, you can order the special premium edition of the Star Wars Battle Pod, which comes with genuine leather seats synchronized to move to the action of the game. So if you've got $1/10,000,000 burning a hole in your pocket and you don't have any good charities to give it away to, check out the Star Wars Battle Pod. Now, just to put in perspective how much the premium edition costs, to purchase every single game on Steam will cost you a bit more than $92,000 US. You could spend $7,000 on a freakishly overpowered PC that can play all those games, purchase every single game, and still have enough left over for a lobster dinner.
Expertise they bring, we found that they're super excited about Star Wars.
そのスター・ウォーズのゲーム制作に自分が関わるのは大変光栄なことです。
それが私の原動力であり、この製品に対する愛です。
It's exciting to work on a project that only could be used in an arcade. You can't bring an experience like that home because there are so many things going on.
Well, that's it for this week's game news. Be sure to follow at Blackman and Robin on Twitter for all the latest game news, reviews, previews, and interviews. Be sure to follow me at Jordan_Cameron for my other views.
No stopping me now. Last time I had this much fun, I got deactivated. Try to keep up. Carve them up, Hilo. Line them up. Out of my way. You can't hide from me. Spare parts, anyone?
easy for me.
Why do you resist?
Assault android cactus.
Prisoner XE47623, welcome to Facility 7. You are somewhere inside a huge network of these rooms, and it's up to you to find a way out.
The force that propels you becomes greater if you jump after it builds up. How many boxes did you use in the last chamber? Think, and when you have done so, step onto the correct button. If you choose poorly, I have no choice but to reprimand you.
Are you tired of your cat having all the fun? Knocking things all over the floor without a care? Have you tried everything possible to get away with your cat-like behaviors? Such as blaming it on the cat?
What are you doing?
Oh, that was the cat.
Or dressing up like a cat? But who are you fooling? You're no cat.
But I just want to cat.
Now you can cat. With cat lateral damage.
What?
Play as a cat on a rampage, trying to knock everything over before your human returns home. That book, on the floor. Flower vase, knock it on the floor. Dinner plates, floor. Fabergé egg, you get the idea. You'll keep coming back for more with procedurally generated levels, loads of collectibles, over 20 playable cats, toys to play with and mice to catch, and secret levels like museums and supermarkets.
That's incredible. I'm already playing.
Are you playing as a cat in a game?
Yeah! Do you hear something?
No, just keep playing.
Cat lateral damage. You won't be able to keep your paws off it. Coming soon to Steam, PC, Mac, Linux, and Ouya.